Let's dive right in. In this world of ours, where we're all so connected online but can feel so far apart, we're all dealing with this huge, kind of personal design problem. How do we build a real, authentic life when it feels like everything and everyone is pushing us to build a perfect-looking but totally hollow facade? Today, we're going to look at the blueprint of that exact problem. You know, this one quote just nails it, doesn't it? It feels like we're living in a time where the outside stuff, our appearance, the right social signals, the number of likes, gets all the attention and all the value. And our inner core, the stuff that actually makes us who we are, that gets pushed to the side. And that creates this huge conflict, not just in society, but right inside of us. So to really get this, let's use a metaphor that'll guide us through this whole thing. Picture society as one massive, ambitious construction project. We're all obsessed with building this gleaming skyscraper, adding more floors, making it shinier, but we've totally forgotten about the foundation. And I mean, any architect, any builder will tell you, a building with a weak foundation, it's just not going to stand for long. Okay, so let's start at the bottom, at ground level. What are the building materials that society is telling us to use? This is where you start to see this fundamental choice that we're all being pressured to make, whether we realize it or not. And this really lays out the trade-off, plain and simple. On one side, you've got the foundation. This is the heavy-duty stuff. Your character, your core values, your personal truth. It's what gives a life real substance, real weight. But on the other side, you've got the facade. This is all the light, decorative stuff. Popularity, just fitting in, how you look. And here's the problem. Society gives us more and more rewards for spending all our energy on that facade, which means the foundation just gets left to crumble. So, why do we make this choice? I mean, why would anyone pick a flimsy facade over a solid foundation? Well, it's not just a simple personal choice. It's what we do in response to this incredible systemic pressure. Let's dig into the real cost of fitting in. And that pressure, it actually has a name. Social homogenization. Now that sounds complicated, but think of it as a survival instinct for the group. The system wants everything to run smoothly, right? It wants to avoid any friction that comes from different opinions or challenging ideas. So what does it do? It encourages everyone to be compliant, to just go along with the crowd, don't make waves. It's a system that's designed for stability, sure, but it comes at a massive cost to each of us as individuals. And here's the central paradox, the real catch-22 of it all. That very friction the system is trying so hard to get rid of, that's the only thing that actually forges strength and character. It's like polishing a stone. You need that resistance, that rubbing, to create any shine, any firmness. So by avoiding friction, we're basically stopping ourselves from ever becoming truly solid people. So what happens to our relationships in this super smooth, friction-free world? Well, they become what we could call empty systems. We start connecting with people based on the facade. You know, we like the same shows or have similar jobs, instead of connecting on the foundation of shared values and beliefs. And when all of our connections are just on the surface like that, our own authentic core, our inner self, it just starts to hollow out. Okay, so how does this actually show up on a personal, day-to-day psychological level? If the world is demanding we put up a facade, what's the tool we use to actually build it? This brings us to this idea of our social interface. I want you to think of your mind as having like a user interface for dealing with the world. And in response to all this social pressure, we start programming what you could call a mask interface. And it goes kind of like this. Step 1, you set it to prioritize picking up on social signals. Step 2, you install these powerful filters that block out your own core principles if they might cause friction. And step 3, you keep the whole persona fluid, always ready to change based on what the group wants. The result? A perfect social mask that creates a gap between the real you and the you that you show the world. And this, as you can imagine, creates a massive internal conflict. Our behavior on the outside just doesn't line up with our values on the inside. So how do we even begin to understand this conflict? Well, there's actually a really powerful framework that can help us redraw our own personal blueprint and see exactly where this battle is being fought. This framework, which is based on something called Bateson's logical levels, it basically maps out the whole conflict. See, society puts all this downward pressure on the lower levels, our environment, where we are, and our behavior, what we do. But the real stress, the anxiety we feel, happens when those outside pressures start to clash with our internal higher levels, our core values, and at the very top, our fundamental sense of identity.
It's like the skyscraper is being pushed in one direction at the bottom and pulled in a completely different direction at the top.
So, understanding the blueprint, the materials, the pressures, that's the first huge step. But maybe the most important thing to realize is this. After all is said and done, it all comes back to the individual. It comes back to you, and a choice that you, and only you, have to make.
And that really brings us to the final, ultimate question. When you're faced with all this pressure to conform, to put on that mask, to build that shiny facade, must you do it? Do you really have to set your deepest principles aside just to fit in? Must you play a part in a play that you never even wrote? The big takeaway here is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The world might hand you a flawed blueprint, yeah? But you're the one holding the tools. You get to decide whether you're going to build a hollow facade or a structure with a deep, solid, unshakable foundation. Because in the end, you are the architect.